Hello, Internet. So yeah, we're here with the comic book talks for March 5th, 2014. Going to go over the first three books I read, or the top three books on my pull list for this week, and what I thought about them. So we'll start off with Uncanny X-Men number 18. Cyclops on the cover has a gun to his head, but, that was kind of, yeah, not so much. So it's cool what happens because, if you've been reading Guardians of the Galaxy and all new X-Men, basically the Shi'ar came in to the new Xavier school, took took Jean Grey, and then, you had the Guardians of the Galaxy come in and be like, alright, well, all new X-Men, you can come with us and we'll go get her. So this issue basically has the Uncanny team with Cyclops and the New Mutants, and, Emma and Magic. And they get to the school, and they're like, okay, well, where's everybody at? Nobody's here. And then you have some of the Cuckoos. I don't know the Cuckoo sisters' names. Or like, I look at them and I don't think, oh, it's that one or that one and that one, because there's three of them. Like Emma, Irma, and something, Celeste, I think. But yeah, or not Emma, but anyway. So you have like the Cuckoo sisters, and they're like, oh, I'm picking up some, psychic residue or whatever. And then they're walking through the school. Also, by the way, I'm just like say a side note here. Like, there's really some really cool panel stuff that they do, where it's like there's all these different shapes and like these squiggly optic blasts. Like Cyclops has broken powers, all other cool stuff. But yeah, continuing on. So you have like Cyclops and somebody, and they're like, "Oh my gosh, there's a hole blown in the school," and they're like, "What happened? Like, what is it?" And then you have the Cuckoos, and they're like, or then like Cyclops picks up a gun and he's like, it's a Shi'ar weapon, and they're like, what? The Shi'ar came, but they're millions of miles away. And then Emma's like, they must have came to for Jean Grey. And then they're looking outside and they're like, where's everybody? And they're like, they're gone. They're all gone. None of them are here. So aliens came and took them, and how are we going to get them back? And then there's like a flashback. Which is, okay, then like, I think, I don't even know, dude. Like, I'm trying to, whatever, I'm not gonna get into it. But yeah, there's a flashback to 2 weeks ago, and it has Cyclops is outside, with his broken powers, being like, oh, my powers don't work, no. And then, you have Magic teleports in with Kitty Pryde, and he's like, what'd you bring her here for? This is a secret school. And then, like, before he can, like, finish his sentence, she just, teleports away, and just leaves Kitty and Scott out there. And then it's pretty cool what happens, because Kitty just like goes for Cyclops and is about to kill him, and then like they have this like conversation about the end of Avengers vs. X-Men, when he was possessed by Dark Phoenix, killed Professor X, and this whole conversation about it is pretty cool. And then, not gonna get into it. It's pretty long about a lot of like stuff, and Cyclops is like, well, it wasn't me. And like, yeah, I told Wolverine that cause in Avengers vs. X-Men Consequences, and like when like Cyclops and Wolverine are talking, he's like, I did it, I take full responsibility, blah blah blah. He's like, yeah, I take responsibility, but it wasn't me. Like, I'm disappointed in myself that I was not strong enough to control the Dark Phoenix, or control the Phoenix Force, and not let it corrupt me and whatnot, and control me, and manipulate me, and use me like a puppet. And so, and then he's like, I have regret every day when I close my eyes for killing Professor X. Don't do what I did, Kitty, because I don't want you to go through that. And then he basically just like guilt trips her out of like not killing him. And then she's like, curse you, Scott. I hate you, blah blah blah. But yeah, then there's but yeah, they're talking, and then he's like, what do you need? And then and then it's weird. I don't know. It kind of jumps around, because it's like from there when like Kitty was not on Team Uncanny to where Belly Adam happens, and then all of a sudden they're like, oh well, here's the all new X-Men, and Kitty Pryde's with them because it's the only safe place for them right now. And then it's basically like tying that together with why the all new X-Men came to the New Xavier School in the first place, and then why, when they find out that they're gone, that they're going to, it's crazy. They basically decide to go and be like, let's go steal That's cause steal a spaceship from Shield. Or they don't decide that, but that's kind of like what they're alluding to. Because it's like, they're like, well, do we know anybody that has a spaceship? And they're like, well, yeah, Tony Stark, but everybody hates us. And then we could go to the Jean Grey school. They're like proposing all these alternatives. And then Cyclops is like, well, we should just like go steal a shuttle from Shield. But before that happens, there's more of the flashback from like after the all new X-Men get to the new Xavier school, and then you have just everybody talking and whatnot with like it's funny. There's like the scene with like Emma is angry at Kitty, and then Magic and Kitty are bonding, and then they're all like, or Kitty's all like, ha ha ha, she can't read our minds. And they're like, and she's talking about her, but then off panel, it's like, I can still hear you. That's pretty funny. What else? Oh, also there's this cool part with, well, this isn't the cool part yet, but there's this part with I'm trying to remember if this was in All New X-Men. It probably was, but whatever. It's been a while since this happened, so I don't even remember. So yeah, you have, Jean, like, old original X-Men, Jean Grey talking to Scott, and then she's all like, yeah, I've read Beast's mind, I know everything about us, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, well, Beast doesn't know everything about us, ha, 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 so you don't know everything, ha, ha, ha. And then she pulls out the note for the wedding that young Cyclops got from the safe deposit box or whatever in All New X-Men, and like gives it to him, and she's like, yeah, well, you lived it, but I could never imagine that. And she just like walks away. It's like, oh, burn. Cyclops always getting burned. But then there's this cool scene. This is the cool scene. And you have like young Cyclops, or past Cyclops, and current and present Cyclops talking on like outside. It's a nice day, and it's all like da 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 da. And then they're talking about stuff, and he's like, yeah, stay away from redheads and blondes and brunettes and women in general, because past Cyclops is like, so is there any wisdom you can impart on me, future self? And then oh yeah, and then like all of a sudden, or not all of a sudden, but like they're talking blah blah blah, and then he's like, there's something I want to ask, and like it's really been bothering me. And he's like, what happened to Charles Xavier? And then I'm pretty sure that is from All New X-Men. I remember this. I'm pretty sure that whatever. I could look it up. I could just go back and look at one of the back issues. But yeah, I'm so sure this is like stuff that's already happened in All New X-Men or whatever. But yeah, like the reason Magic basically teleported Kitty in to like have that stare down with Cyclops. She's like, we need to move past this, because she did it, and then when she teleported back into the school and was talking to Emma, and like the Cuckoos are like, oh, they're like, wait a minute, Kitty Pryde's here, what's going on? And then Emma's like, Magic, what are you doing? And then she's like, we need to move past this. And then they have it out, hash things out, and then see how that happens. So that was pretty cool to like just see Magic, be just taking initiative there and doing stuff like she's been doing. She's been a pretty cool character in Uncanny. It's pretty cool. But yeah, after past Cyclops asks present Cyclops like what happens to Xavier, he doesn't answer. Well, he doesn't not answer. It just cuts to a different scene. So we still don't know what he said, because I think that was said in All New X-Men as well, when they showed up at the school, and he's like, what happened to Charles Xavier? So maybe we'll find out in the next issue, because there's like one more page, and then the final panel is just, or the last page is like I said at the beginning, when they're like, okay, well, or they're like, we promised them that we protect the first class X-Men, so we have to go and protect them or go and save them, and they're in space. So that being the case, how do we get into space? Because we don't have a spaceship. And they're like, well, Tony Stark? No, they hate us. Jean Grey School? No, they hate us too. I guess we'll just steal one from S.H.I.E.L.D. and go into space. And then the final panel is just like Cyclops optic blasting into the sky. Well, not optic blasting, because the page is red, so it's, you could say he's either angry or just like, his powers are, I don't know. Yeah. Anyway, Cyclops in a dramatic pose. There we go. And it's like, next issue, X-Men vs. S.H.I.E.L.D. So it's like, oh, going down. And then the cover for next issue is nice. Some nice artwork. Because, well, right, look. Anyway, yeah. Not going to go into it. But yeah. Looks like S.H.I.E.L.D. and Team Uncanny will be facing down. At least, Magic, Emma, and Cyclops, there's no new characters, or not new character, or the student X-Men are not on the cover, but there's a bunch of like Shield agents, dudes with guns, and then those three: Cyclops, Emma, and Magic. But yeah, I did very much enjoy this issue. But it's annoying because on Comixology they like changed the e-reader to like HTML5 and there's scan lines, and it's so annoying because I mean I can like ignore it, but dude, it's just not as good as like the old version. So it's just like, oh, I really hope they fix it, or I can go back to the old version because that was a bit disruptive, just a bit. But let's see, the other stuff I picked up this week. So usually I talk about what I picked up besides what I'm reading. So I picked up Forever Evil. I'm going to read that one, but I'm not going to talk about it on here since I haven't been doing the other ones. So, besides that, I picked up Punisher 3 and Wolverine and the X-Men #1. I think I'll read Punisher #3 next just because I want to see what happens with Electro, because that was kind of annoying when I saw that on the final panel. I was like, oh, it was so, I enjoyed how it was very grounded in reality and felt just very, very plausible and very realistic, and like I could believe in it. And then and then it gets to the final panel, it's like, oh, it's Electro, and AIM scientists are using him or something, I don't know, but yeah, we'll see. I want to believe because I'm enjoying it so far, so yeah. But that, and then Wolverine and X-Men #1 with a new creative team, so we'll see what happens with the Shark Girl, iBoy, Genesis, Brew, Evie, Kid Omega, and the rest of the student X-Men over at the Jean Grey School and not Xavier School. So, yeah, that's the 3 books I'll be going over, or the other 2, I mean, since I already did Uncanny. And this one, Punisher next, and then Wolverine and X-Men. Yeah, I think that'll be like the rule going forward, is like not to do 2 X-Men books in a row if I do have multiple X-Men books in a week that I'm reading that are at the top of my stack. But yeah, I'll be back with my thoughts on that after this. Alright, so I just read Punisher #3. Really enjoyed it. It was not, it did not, in the way I thought it would. Well, I didn't know what was going to happen, but I had it in my mind, I thought something was going to happen, but it didn't happen. But you start off, and basically it continues from the previous issue where you had Punisher and Electro about to face down. Well, basically Electro had ambushed Frank on the highway, and so it picks up there, and it's cool because this cool narration, and it's like Punisher basically all his training kicks in. He's the mind goes automatic. Check the breach, identify your target, check the background, safety off, regulate breathing, put the ball on the target, fire. I thought that was pretty cool. And so he just stumbles out of his vehicle, and then he just starts shooting Electro, or shooting at Electro, but he can't, none of the bullets have any effect because he has an electromagnetic field or whatever. And then he just proceeds to just shoot all these energy, or I guess electric attacks at Punisher and whatnot, and it's just a throwdown on the highway. And then it's cool because on paper, this is what was getting me at the end of the last issue. I was like, okay, there's no way Punisher can take on Electro, dude. It just, that on paper to me is just clearly Electro has the upper hand, but whatever. So I was like, okay, I don't know how this is going to turn out, but I don't see how Punisher can just take this dude down. So it's that'll be interesting to see. So it's cool because Basically Punisher is at a disadvantage because he's been surprised and he's kind of wounded, or he's not really wounded. He's just he's damaged from going hitting up against cars and debris and whatnot. And so he's running from Electro. Well, I'm not gonna say he's running from Electro, but he's trying to hold his own. And then there's some gasoline coming out of a vehicle, and he's well, sometimes sometimes retreat is the best option. You can't beat a plan with no plan, and so it's time to get out of here, and I can't risk civilians. So he's it's time to regroup, and then he shoots this this gasoline puddle under this vehicle. I think it's his vehicle that has all the guns and whatnot in it, or whatever. I don't know. It might not have. It might have anything in it. Whatever. It might be empty. But there's a gasoline. He shoots at it, blows it up, and then in that time he takes it to that time he takes to basically get away from Electro. So that was pretty cool. And then he regroups with his partner dude that's supplying him with the weapons, who is looking after his coyote. I keep wanting to say it's his coyote dog, but it's not a dog, so it's coyote that he has adopted until it gets better. So that's pretty cool. And so they're talking, and then so yeah, he's like the coyote's there with him, and he's like, yeah, this dog eats a lot more than you would think, so you need to be paying me extra for that. And then they like sit at this bar and they're like talking about, you know, what's going down with like the Dos Solos. Like, I keep forgetting what they're called. Whatever, the gangster dudes from Mexico who are all like causing trouble. And so Punisher tells him that, you know, what happened on the highway, and he's like, dude, it was Electro. And it's not just, or like these I guess I don't exactly remember what was going on in the first two issues, but whatever. He's like, you know, it's war, but I found their weapon, it's Electro. And so in the last issue, number 2, it showed like a flashback of like however many weeks later, and Punisher was at like some Mexican village, and there's like a bunch of dead bodies and whatnot. And so apparently it was like some chemical weapon they were testing. So apparently, between this conversation with him and his friend, he's like, okay, well, his friend's like, I looked up this weapon and where it came from or whatever, and it's a chemical weapon. I don't really know like what's in it or what type of weapon it is. And then Punisher's like, well, it's super dangerous, and what it did to that village would be just, you know, escalated, or not escalated, but what's the word? Anyway, it'd be like way more devastation if they unleashed it in an urban area like LA. So we can't allow them to, you know, manufacture this weapon and then use it, or a lot of people are going to die. And then it shifts to the Howling Commandos, who are still doing recon on him. And they're like, yeah, we can't trace his friend because every time he goes to meet the Punisher, he uses a different vehicle. And then, you know, we're trying to look at his background, or what is it? Yeah, his service records. And then they're like, yeah, some of the stuff is just, you know, too high above our clearance level. But they're like, well, where are the shadows of the shadows? We should totally be able to see what he's been doing in the past or whatever. And then you get the scene where Electro and the leader of the Del Solos are meeting, and you basically get to like find out like what's going down between AIM, the Del Solos, and like why Electro's there. And then that was pretty cool. So it's like, okay, that's why Electro's there. It's like, it just seemed really random and out of nowhere at the last issue when Electro appeared. I was like, what is going on? Like, what? Huh? Like, it seemed like it was about to go off the rails really fast, because like I said at the beginning, like, you know, I enjoyed the first 2 issues because it felt so like, you know, grounded and like believable. But then you throw Electro in there and like, it's like, what the F? That just, made me feel, I don't know, very uncomfortable. And like, I felt, you know, I might be dropping it, but then it's like, okay, I'm reaffirmed here. And we have like this business meeting of like what's going on and how the AIM is somewhat partnering with the Del Solos. They're not really partnering them; they're just helping them along. And Electro's just there to like provide support. And so, he's also like, it was funny because the Del Solos leader dude was like, we told you to kill him, not to, you know, make a big splash about it and have it be all over the news. And like the Electro's like, yeah, well, salty is not my style. Sorry, dude. So that's pretty funny. And they're like, yeah, well, we got like, yeah, they said something about like there's only a certain amount of time they have before. Yeah, he's like, we only have like, let's see, the next few weeks to do this, because, you know, after that we become untouchable, because right now we're just super powerful group, and, you know, but the Punisher's still out there, so he could maybe still get us. We need to do this before he can counter us and whatnot. And so it shows this panel of this like radioactive weapon, or the chemical weapon, in some like container thing. And then yeah. Oh, then you have the scene where Punisher is interrogating this dude, and he's like, okay, like, I need to know everything you know. And he's like, well, I can't tell you all the details, I can just tell you where they're located. That's a very short synopsis of that scene, but whatever. And then the next scene, you have the police officer lady who was saved, Sammy, by Punisher last issue, and she's like, yeah, the laws. She's talking to the. It's back at the diner, by the way. It's like one scene at the diner per issue, which I like the diner scenes. But yeah, so she's talking to the diner dude that works there, and then she said something about like, yeah, the Punisher saved me, and like, he has the right idea. He's getting results. That's pretty funny. And she says like he's going to inspire others, and she puts on the skull rings. That's pretty interesting. And then you have basically like the finale here of Punisher goes to. I wasn't sure if he was just like recon or infiltrate, but he goes to the Del Solos HQ where the Electro and the other dude were. So the intel was on the money from the dude that he was interrogating, because that's where he goes. And he's basically there checking to see like he's like he. I'm trying to like say what he's doing, but it's kind of he has like this radar gun. Well, it's not a radar gun. It's like a microphone gun, I guess. It's not a gun that you shoot at someone. It's like a it picks up sound. That type of gun, an audio gun, whatever. I don't know what it's called. That thing. So he's using that to like hear under him, because he's looking through the wolf, looking through the roof, and like it's a glass window, and there's like dudes in there, henchmen in there. And then he's looking through there, and they're all talking, and he's trying to like get some intel. And then he's doing that, and like he sees that they're prepping to move something through a canister, and that apparently the plan is that Electro is going to black out the city, and then that's when they're going to move all their stuff, and then maybe trigger the weapon. I don't know, but before anything else can happen, someone sees him, and he's like, "Oh crap! I've underestimated my enemies." And like has this whole monologue about that. Firefight ensues. Pretty cool sequencing and whatnot in the art. It's pretty cool because he's like shooting dudes. He throws a flashbang. He like is diving towards the roof, almost falls off the roof. He's like holding on by one hand. Shoots two dudes with a silenced pistol. They fall off like onto the street below him, and then he falls down onto them to like cushion his fall. That was cool. And then when he does that, it okay, I'm not gonna give like a play-by-play here, but there's this cool scene after that happens when there's these two dudes that approach after they hear that sound, and he kills them both with one bullet, like a double headshot. It's just like a cool panel. I was like, oh, that's cool. Like I really enjoyed that whole scene. Even like the whole like mask he has, like the skull mask. I didn't know he like wore that. Like it's been a while since I've read Punisher, so it's like I don't even remember like back in the day, like the gear he was using. But I didn't know if he like had that same mask to like have his anonymity when he was doing street stuff. But yeah, so basically he's like just mowing down all these Del Solos dudes. It's pretty cool. And then he's trying to get information from some of them after he's like he's winded some of them, and they're like and like holding their legs and whatnot. And he's like, okay, he's gonna tell me where your boss is. And he just like pops one of them in the head. He's like smack, or like the sounds like swack. He's like, oh, guess it's not you. And then he's just like moving on like through him, like on the street level, just like who's gonna tell me what I need to know, or you're gonna die. It was great. And then and he's like, and then he gets to one dude and he's like, tell me quick. And then the dude's like, okay, please don't hurt me. But like before he can get any information from him, he's attacked from behind, because while all this was going down, I forgot to mention that the Del Solis dude was he's in Electro, and it's like all his dudes are getting killed, and he's like, because Electro's like, it doesn't sound like you've killed him. Would you like me to step out? And then the boss dude of the Del Solis is like, bring him to me alive. So yeah, he basically gets the upper hand on Frank, and then sneaks up. Well, I guess he doesn't sneak up on him, but like comes from behind and just like shocks him and incapacitates him. And he says, "The boss will see you now." And then the final panel is Electro standing over Punisher, and yeah, he's like, "Mr. Del Sol would like to have a word with you. I'll make sure you answer him." So that was like I enjoyed this issue because I was expecting it just to be some sort of like throwdown between Punisher and Electro at the beginning, and I was expecting like the Punisher to come out on top and not like limp away and like having to retreat. So I thought that was cool. And then at the end here, I didn't expect it to be like another encounter to where Punisher would end up in the captivity of the bad guys. So now he's the one who will be interrogated probably at the beginning of the next issue. And it's like, okay, well, how do we get out of that situation? So that'll be interesting to see. But yeah, it was like a cool sequences. Like the first part with the encounter with Electro, and then the part at the end with all the dudes that he's taken down, and then yeah, all the stuff in the middle where you're like getting all this information about like just why is Electro here? Because why is he even here? Like that doesn't make sense for Electro to be in this comic right now. It's like that, just made me feel so uneasy about where this story was headed. And I was like, I don't know. But then it's like you get like, oh, they're making a chemical weapon and they need him to make a blackout so that they can get out of the city, yada yada yada. So it's like, okay, I like where this train's headed again. I'm back on to see what happens in the story. But yeah, that was it for Punisher number 3, and I'll be back after I read Wolverine and the X-Men number 1 and my thoughts on that issue. Alright, I'm back. Final issue of the day. Just read Wolverine and the X-Men number 1. Really interesting. Hold on, I'm trying to get it to load here so I can talk through it. But yeah, I did very much enjoy it. There's this really cool part early on with like Wolverine with the eye patch that I've never seen him like that before, and I was like, oh, I really like the way it looks. But yeah, so it's interesting because it's a lot of the stuff about Valley Atom, and there's like a look into the future, and it looks a bit bleak, but it's like, is this like really what happens, or like is this really what goes down? And it's just there for like a brief second, and then it's like back to the present. So it's like, are things going to turn out this way or not? Well, I guess we'll find out. Maybe not. Who knows? It was a pretty good tease. I'm not gonna say what it was, but I thought it was interesting. And then we're back in the Jean Grey school, and we've got Quentin Quark, who just graduated in the last issue. And then it's funny because he's like, they appointed me as a teaching assistant. What's going on here? And then like has him in a room full of students, and he's supposed to be like the one in charge and like directing them, but he's just sitting there doing nothing. Then later on in the issue we see it like devolves into kind of a free for all. It's pretty funny. But yeah, it's like he's there talking to ID. I'm not really gonna like go into any details on their conversations. It's just I don't want to say but it's yeah. It's like it's romantical dramatic stuff. Like like I can't really give too good commentary on it. Whatever. I enjoyed it. I don't know. I think it was terrible. And then you have iBoy, who's walking around this new student, but she doesn't say anything back the whole issue, and like she doesn't say anything, and so she has like these antlers in her head, and he's like, so is it okay to call you Nature Girl because you can control animals and whatever? And then he's like leading that scene around. He's like, well, I'm sorry for Professor Wolverine's absence, but we haven't seen him around, or something about like Storm's absence or whatever. And then it shows like Wolverine is in this interdimensional prison called the Block, like fighting all these dudes in a death match with this eye patch on and a BAMF on his shoulder. It looks really cool. I was like, oh, that looks awesome. And then he's doing that, and then it goes back to Jean Grey school, and you have Armor, who is putting these students through this like what's it called? There's a word for it. There's like a obstacle course, and she's like shooting out fire from a gun. She's got her armor on, and she's like, squirm or sizzle, maggots, squirm or sizzle. That's pretty funny. And then you have Storm talking to Beast, who's in space, and she's like, yeah, dude, we're shorthanded down here. I need you to come back ASAP. But he's like, I'm in space right now with my students. I can't exactly leave them at the drop of a hat. We're on this training thing right now. And then Storm's just like stressing out at the school, like, Wolverine left all the teachers on like personal leave, or just go do whatever they want, and now we're shorthanded. And then we're back in the classroom that Quentin Quark is supposed to be supervising, and he's just like sitting at the desk doing nothing really. And you have Rockslide and 3 BAMFs. Well, there's like more than 3. There's like 4, but I think there's like way more than that. And then on the side you see that 2 of the, or not 2, but like one of the ex-Hellfire Club students, I didn't know his name, and then Hellion, they're all like taking bets on if he can catch any of the any of the Bamfs, and that's pretty funny. And so that's going down in the classroom that Quinncar's like supposed to be supervising. He's not doing anything, which is pretty funny. And then it goes back to iBoy showing Nature Girl around, and then they're at the cafeteria, and he's talking to her about like the food and like whatever. And then all of a sudden, like Rockslide just like breaks through the wall, and then he's like, "Oh no, let's get out of here!" And like he hides behind like a desk or something, while Rockslide is like in the room trying to grab the Bamfs, and then all the Bamfs latch onto Nature Girl, and then before Rockslide can do anything, he's all Dupe just like shows up behind him and just punches him like through the ceiling, like onto the onto the outside of the school in front of Storm, and then she's just like, "Choir," and then they're in the office of the headmaster, I guess. And then he's like, how's this my fault? You're the ones that put me in charge. It's your fault. And then Storm's like, so you're saying it's our fault for believing in you? And he's like, whoa. You guys never believed in me until the future me showed up and he was all Phoenix Force. And then, before then, nobody believed in me and all this other stuff. And there's like some back and forth with him about that. And he's like, no, like the present doesn't matter. It's all like I already know what's gonna happen in the future, so nothing that's happening right now matters. And then he says that, and then Rockslide's like, "Hey, I might never graduate now. Don't say that." And then Hellion's like, "Yeah, I could die tomorrow. Don't say that." And then he just like shoves him. And then Storm's like, "Hey, Hellion, don't ever do that again, okay?" And then like Quinnquire's about to get up, and then Storm's like, "Don't even do it, Quinnquire. Don't even think about doing it, okay? Just don't even think about it." And Ivy's like, "Yeah, Quinn, let's just let it go, dude, let it go." And so he just like walks off through the giant hole in the wall, and then we're back on the cube or the prison with Wolverine, and then it shows his next opponent in the series of death matches, and it's Phantom X, and so he's talking to him, and he's like, "So what are you doing here?" And he's I'm trying to remember what happens here. Oh, he's like, "Yeah, I'm here with like the rest of the field, weapon plus experiments, just chilling out in this prison." And he's like, "Why have you come back here? Just to, just for dear old me?" And then Wolverine's like, "No, dude, I need you back at the school." And Phantom X is just like, he's like, "No, I'm just a killer. I'm not a nice dude. I can't teach at the school." Basically, it's just like Wolverine trying to persuade him to come back to the school and be a teacher. And then Phantom X is feeling guilt for killing the Apocalypse clone. And then it's funny because he's talking about that, and then Evan shows up, who is the Kid Apocalypse or Genesis, and then he's saying all these like things to him that are like, "Oh, that's so messed up." Because he's like, "Oh, Uncle Cluster, why are you here? We need to get you out of here." But yeah, like that happens, and then he's then Phantom X is telling Kid Apocalypse about like the same thing he's talking like Wolverine, this is where I belong. I don't belong on the outside because I'm just a killer, and this is where all the killers are. I can't go back on the outside because I'm a killer, whatever. And then so yeah, Wolverine's just like trying to get him to come back to the school, which I thought was interesting because like he's on the cover, and I was like, why is Phantom X here? Like, why is he going to be in the Wolverine X-Men? Like, what's his angle here? So I was glad they like actually explained that in the first issue. But they go back to Jean Grey School, and then you have ID and Kid Omega hanging out. And then this is like the same spot they're hanging out at the beginning, but I forgot to mention that like ID said like specifically that they're hanging out at like the ruins of the old expansion. So I guess there's like, before when it's gotten blown up in the past however many times, there's like some old furniture like just hanging around, and like a bookshelf and a chest in the background. But yeah, they're hanging out there talking, and then let's see. Oh, I guess like Kid Omega's just like being so hung up on the future and what happens, and she's like, "Dude, just like relax, man. Like Like, don't, or, let's see. What good is tomorrow if you can't, if you forget about today? And then there's this weird, like, last page where, like, all of a sudden there's, like, this phoenix symbol that's popping up everywhere because Armor runs out to, like, talk to Storm about it, and then you just see a bunch of, or, like, you see the symbol on a bunch of, like, different screens, like TVs and tablets and whatnot, and phones. And then it's just like, yeah, the Phoenix is everywhere, and it's like to be continued. So maybe this ties into how Quinn McQuire gets the Phoenix Force, but then that'd be interesting because if he has it like now and then in the future, he would have had it a very long time. So we'll see. Who knows if it ties into that at all, or like if he even gets it or whatever. But I enjoyed this first issue. I really liked it. So yeah, but yeah, I can't wait to see what keeps going on with the students and the teachers and whatnot at the Jean Grey School. I'm definitely in it for the long haul. But yeah, that's it for my thoughts on what the top 3 books I was reading this week. Top book of the week, I don't know, man. They're all really good. I would recommend all of them actually, because Punisher was like, better than I thought it was going to be. Uncanny, I enjoyed the whole Kitty and Cyclops discussion about the, things like the end of AVX and Dark Phoenix and moving past that and like getting more of a sense of like where Scott is at as far as what he believes as far as like what influence was he under when he did that. And then Wolverine and X-Men was a like nice intro issue of like what's going on, introduction of the players, and the gang's back together again, and something about the Phoenix and a brief look into the future where it looks really interesting of like what's going on here. So I guess any one of them, dude. Like I'm not gonna recommend. I'll recommend all of them because they're so good. But yeah, I'm not gonna say any of them are like better than the other because like they're all really good this week. So I enjoyed reading them all, and I did read Forever Evil as well. I enjoyed that too. So if you're reading that, I'd say stick with it. But yeah, that's it for this video. Thanks for watching. Feel free to leave a like, comment, subscribe, favorite, share with your friends or not. And until you see or hear from me again, that's what I thought of what I was reading this week. And I'm now signing off. Thanks for watching and listening.